Right. So today we are going to do one more maths paper. So we are planning to do 2000. Uh, we did the 2024 paper, which is anyway somewhat much more complex than the normal papers. But anyway, expect something like 2024 paper. Okay. So today we are going to do the 2023 paper. Okay. So 2023 paper is the normal traditional paper. So 2024 paper is sort of a extraordinary paper. Okay, right. Uh, so let's quickly do it. Now we can do it faster because this is not very difficult paper because I just went through it yesterday, this paper, uh, and found that it is, anyway, I have gone through this because I have done this with the previous batch as well. Right. So again, multiple answers are possible. Okay, one or more correct answers. Right, question number one. So straight away, let's move on. You should have tried out this paper by now. If you have any questions, any doubts, you can ask. Okay, otherwise I will be doing fast. Uh, which of the following propositions is are true? Remember, this is a proposition. So proposition is a statement which must be either true or false. So there are true propositions, there are false propositions. Okay. So the question is which of these are true propositions, right? So not every proposition is a true proposition. Some propositions are false. Okay. Right. So let's take one by one. If 2 plus 2 is 5, then 2 plus 3 is 9. Sorry, 2 into 3 is 9. It's something like if x then y or x implies y, right? But remember, this must be if it is true. If this is true, it's a true proposition. But if it is false, it is not a true proposition. If we can't determine whether it's true or false, then it is not a proposition at all. Okay. Right. So now you need to check whether it's all this value is true. Now remember, 2 plus 2 is 5 is false, right? We all know that 2 plus 2 is not 5, 2 plus 2 is 4. Therefore, this is false. Implies 2 into 3 is 9. 2 into 3 is not 9. 2 into 3 is 6. So therefore, this is false implies false. Remember, in truth table, when x is false, anyway, the result is true. So remember, x, y, true, true, the result is true. True, false, result is false. When it is false, whether it's true or false, we don't care, it is true. So therefore, when false, false, it is true. So therefore, this is a true proposition, right? This is a true proposition. Okay. What about the second one? That one is also like x implies y. If the earth is planet, then elephants will fly, right? So then you need, it's also x implies y. But if the earth is planet, yes, we know that earth is a planet. So therefore, this is true. Implies elephants fly. Actually, it should be elephants fly, not will fly. Okay. So this little bit of a looseness is there. Then elephants fly. Actually, it should be the wording. Anyway, let's say elephants fly. So we know that elephants they don't fly. So therefore, this is false. So this is true implies false. So true false is false. Right? We are looking for true proposition. This is a proposition, but it's a false proposition. So therefore, we can't take this. 2 greater than 3 and 2 is a prime number. 2 greater than 3 is false, right? False. And 2 is a prime number is true. False and true is false. So we are looking for true propositions. It's a proposition but false. 2 greater than 3 or 2 is a prime number. That is false or true. False or true is true. Yes, it's a true proposition. N is divisible by 2. Okay, let me take this. Now, Right. N is divisible by 2 and 4 if and only if N is divisible by 8. Right. So that means N is divisible by 2. That is N mod 2 is 0 and N is divisible by 4. N mod 4 is 0 if and only if N is divisible by 8. That is N mod 8 equals 0. Right? This says if and only if, both ways. Both ways. So can we say like that? So it's like X if and only if Y. And what is the truth table for that? So this question take a little bit of time. I don't know why they put it as this first question. Maybe to kill some time. Okay, we should have actually I should have done this late, but let's do it because I am not in the exam. Right. So remember X implies if and only if Y. This is my X and Y. True, 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 false, false, true, false, false. So the result is that is X if and only if Y. True, true is true. This is false. This is false. This is true. Okay. Now this is little bit fussy because it says N, not a number, right? So therefore we can't just say this is true, this is false because it's N. It depends on the value. So now only thing I can do is try to use common sense because I can't evaluate and say whether this is true because it depends on the N value. Right? For example, if you say N equal 3, this is not 0, this is not 0. This is also not 0. But whenever this is true, this must be true. Whenever this is false, this must be false. So then only it is a true proposition. You can see whenever this happens, this must happen. Whenever this happens, this must happen for any n, for any n, or all the n values. Okay. So does it make sense? If a value is divisible by 2 and 4, can we say that it is divisible by 8? It is divisible by 8. I don't think so. For example, if you take 12, 12 is divisible by 2. 12 is divisible by 4. But can we say that 12 is divisible by 8? No. So that's a contradiction, right? So that means I found that for just one n value, of course, I can tell you so many n values. For example, when n equal 4, this is true, but this is false. So therefore, it doesn't, right? When this is true, you can say this is false now. This is false. So I found one scenario like this. This is true, right? But this is false. So for example, it's 12. This is true, but this is false. So true, false means false. So therefore, maybe this work for some values, but not for all values, right? So these are easier because they have the hard-coded value, but this is n. So therefore, I found one n value that is enough for me. Of course, I can find more n values where this is true, this is false. Okay. Maybe it work other way. I don't know. I don't want to double check, but I found that even this doesn't like go like this. So remember, if and only if means this and that x implies y and y implies x. I have even found x implies y doesn't work for some n value. So therefore, I will not take that. Okay. So then the answer must be A and D. Right? A and D. Yes, A and D. Is it clear? Right? If it is not clear, I can explain it again. Okay. Right. Second question. It's a very challenging question. Okay, the first one. So you remember examiner gives few log indices questions. I gave you the log rules also. Anyway, we have done this in semester one. Right? What don't you understand? The last one or which one? So you can't say again. So you need to ask a specific question. You mean you are not very sure about the A, B, C, D, E? Which one? Last part, D. D. D is this one, right? 2 greater than 3 is false. Okay, so 2 greater than 3 is false. Or 2 is a prime number is true. So false or true is true. So that is why we took it. Okay. E. Right. So remember E says if and only if. Remember if and only if is something like this. Whenever X happens, Y happens. And whenever Y happens, X happens. That we discussed in the class. Right. What is the difference between X implies Y versus X if and only if Y? So this means X implies Y and Y implies X. So this is N. Right. So therefore this statement must be true, right? So that means the statement must be true like this way for any n value and this way. So if you can find at least one contradiction, the statement is false because it says n, right? N. So I was looking for a contradiction, right? So therefore I just took something like 8, right? 8, when now remember 8 is divisible by 2 and also divisible by 4. So therefore this part is true for 8. But sorry, I took 12, sorry. 12 is divisible by 2 and also 12 is divisible by 4, but 12 doesn't is not divisible by 8. So that means when n is 12, x implies y doesn't work. But but this statement says x implies y and y implies x, right? So therefore this is not going to work, right? This is not going to work. Because when you have something like n, you need to find at least one contradiction. These are easier because they have hard-coded values. So that just I found that I was looking for one contradiction. If I can't find any contradiction, then I will accept this. But I can find a contradiction. So when you can find a contradiction, you can clearly say, no, it's wrong. It's wrong. So that is the standard logic. Right? When someone argue with you, give a statement, if you can give a one contradiction, that's the end of the story. So therefore, I found one contradiction. So therefore, I can say this is not correct. Okay. Right. So therefore, the answer is A and D. Okay. A and C. Right. Right. Question two. Question two. Now this is not a difficult question if you pay attention and right. So just keep looking for a solution. Right. So they have given log 10, 11 is A. So that you can see 110 is 10 into 11. Right? And we know what is log 10, 10. So you can see the connection, right? You can see the connection. So therefore, somehow try to get 11 here because then you can replace with A. Right? So what we need is log 10, 1 over 110. Okay. So that I can write it as log 10. This is division 1 minus log 10, 110. Right? So division is subtraction. So log 10 1 is 0 because 1 is 10 to the power 0. So when you write it as a power of this, the index is the value. So therefore this is 0 minus log 10. 110 I can write it as 10 into 11. Why I am writing like that? Because I like 11 because I know log 10 11. So anyway 0 minus means we can ignore this. So that is minus log 10. Multiplication I can write it as addition. Log 10 10 plus log 10 11. So these are the valid rules. And we know that log 10 10 is 1 because 10 is 10 to the power 1. 1 plus log 10 11 is A minus 1 plus A. Right? Minus 1 plus A. But check the other answers. A divided by 10 can't be. Right? can't be, if the answer is minus a plus 1, it can't be 11a or this or that or right. So just check whether these are equivalent to this. No, none of these are equivalent to this. So therefore we can settle for D. Okay, second one D. Okay. So remember in your BIT, I don't know, this is my personal opinion. So this is the most interesting paper, most challenging paper, right? If you can get a A for this one, so that means you are a very good critical thinker, logical thinker. Because this is not like your web development paper, where they keep checking your memory. Okay? This is not checking the memory. This is checking your logical thinking, problem solving. So this is what we need from engineers, especially if you are for the tech jobs, AI, data science, software engineering, problems, solving problems, not fear of complexities, and rely on logic, critical thinking. Right. What about this? So you need to find the value of x. So just look at this first, right? So the easiest thing is I want to get rid of log. Remember, log statements, we can write it as an index. So if log AB is C, we can write B equal A to the power C because log is an alternative notation for indices. Okay. Right. So therefore, let's do that. Right. So therefore, I can write 3 divided by 4 is x to the power minus half. Right. So I just converted it to indices notation because log is alternative notation, reverse notation. 3 divided by 4 is x to the power minus half. Okay. So what we need to find is x. So x to the power minus half, I can write 1 over x to the power half. Or we can say we take the square of both. Because remember, when you have equation, I can add the same amount to both sides, subtract same amount from both sides, multiply by same amount, divide by same amount, and we can take the square of both sides. If 5 is 5, 5 squared is 5, 25 is 25. So why I want to square it? Because then this half minus half into 2 is minus 1. Okay. So therefore I'll square both sides. So everything I am doing with a purpose. I don't like these fractions. And this is a valid thing. Okay. So therefore now we have 9 divided by 16 equal minus, remember a to the power, x to the power, m to the power n is mn. That is minus half into 2 is minus 1. X to the power minus 1 is 1 over x. So therefore 9 divided by 16 is 1 over x. So then x is 16 divided by 9. So just check when any other answer is correct. No, these are not related to 16 divided by 9. So then we'll go for A. A. So this is easy question if you know your basics. Okay, if you know your basics. Right, fourth question. Which of the following statement is are true if the domain consists of all real numbers? So remember, your x can be any real number, all real numbers. You need to be very, very, very serious, okay? All real numbers. Domain. Right, so the first answer says x is x. That means there's at least one value in that domain that satisfies this. What is that domain? Any real number. So do we have any real number? At least one real number can you find that when you square it, you get minus 1? What is your answer? Yes or no? Is there any real number when you square it, you get minus 1? Remember in semester 1, we discussed numbers, right? Natural numbers, integers. rational numbers, irrational numbers, real numbers. Then I briefly explain about what is imaginary number, complex number. Right, right. I briefly explain and I ask you if you are curious, learn about these things. Right. So remember, when you square a positive number, the result is positive. When you square a negative number, the result is positive. When you square zero, result is zero. Therefore, no real number. When you square, you get -1. So therefore, there's no real number. When you square it, you get -1. So nothing. If you can find at least one, enough. But unfortunately, nothing. Okay. So this behavior is with the imaginary numbers. Imaginary numbers, yes. Right. I briefly explained what is imaginary number, but definitely not for the real number. Right? So therefore, this is not correct because you can't find a single real number. When you square it, you get -1. Of course, you can find all the imaginary numbers, but not real numbers because it says domain consists of real numbers. Okay. Second one, all x, 3x is greater than 2x, all x. Now, if you can find at least one contradiction, this is false. Right? So in general, this looks okay, right? For any positive number, 3 times 1 is greater than 2 times 1. 3 times 2 is 6, greater than 2 times 2, 4. For any positive number, this is correct. For 0, no, this is not correct. Right? For 0, 0 is not 3 into 0 is 0, 2 into 0 is 0. You can't say 0 is greater than 0. So that is enough to say that this is wrong. And also it doesn't work for negative numbers also. Right? For example, 3 into -1. Is it greater than 2 into -1? Can you say that -3 is greater than -2? No. -3 is smaller. -3 is here. -2 is here. So therefore, this doesn't work. So for negative numbers, 0, this doesn't work. So we need just one contradiction. Actually, half of the real numbers, this is not correct. So therefore, we can't take this. C, for all real numbers, if you take the minus and square it, that is same as x squared. Is it true? For positive numbers, right? For example, 5 squared is 25. -5 squared is also 25. Positive numbers, yes. 0, yes. 0 square, 0 square. Negative numbers, so this is -5 into negative plus 5 squared. Plus 5 squared is same as -5 squared. This is correct. So if can you find any contradiction? I can't find. For negative numbers, positive numbers, 0, this work. This work. Is it clear? Okay. Right. So C is correct. Now we need to keep looking. D. Now this is easy. X is x. If you can find at least one number, obviously, right? For example, when x is say 2, 2 to the power 4 is big. No, not we are looking for the smaller, right? Not bigger. Okay. So let's say whether for a negative number, 0, it doesn't work. Positive numbers, it doesn't work because fourth power is bigger than second power. This is lesser. But maybe for negative numbers. What about -2 to the power 4? Is it less than -2 to the power 2? No, right? -2 to the power 4 is 16, less than -2 to the power 4 is 2 is 4. 16 is not less than 4. Still, I can't find. What about odd odd power? No, no, you can't say take odd power because this is 4 and 2. It looks like it doesn't work for 0. It doesn't work for positive numbers. It doesn't work for negative numbers also because these are the even integers. It become positive. Okay, it become positive. Right? Is there any place where we can say this is true? Any single one? 0, it doesn't work. 0 is not less than 0. Positive numbers definitely doesn't work. What about fractions? Because fractions are also real numbers, right? What about half? Half to the power 4, is it less than half to the power 4? Ah, yes. Right? Half to the power 4 is 1 over 8. Is it less than 1 over 4? Ah, yes. 1 over 8 is less than 1 over 4. Now you can see. So they exist. They exist. Right? Even minus fraction. Right? You can see that for fractions this work. So therefore we can find x values that satisfy this, like half. Half to the power 4 is 1 over 8, which is less than half to the power 2, which is 1 over 4. And so therefore, yes, we can find not one, more than one. Just one is enough. What about this? Definitely, because when x is 1, 1 squared is 1, 1 equal 1, and also 0, 0 equals 0. So we have two values. But for others, no. For example, 2 to the power 2 is not equal to 2 to the power 3. But I have found two values, maybe more. So one value is enough because it says x is x. So therefore, answer must be C, D, and E. C, D, and E. Right? Any questions? So I can't ask any questions all the time, right? If you have any questions, you need to proactively ask. Okay. So that is why we have these question sessions, right? So you must have very good understanding about what is all, what is sum. Okay. Right. Next question. If 3 to the power a plus b equal to 53 and 3 to the power a minus b equal to 27, then a is equal to. Now remember, they don't ask you the b, they ask you a. Right? So මේක දැක්කම මට හිතනවා කරන්න ඕන වැඩේ. Right? If I want to get rid of b, I will multiply this because when you multiply, you add the indices. So that is bit of experience and bit of intelligence. Pattern. Can you see the patterns? So therefore, when we have two equations, I can multiply two equations. Right? I can add two equations, subtract, multiply, divide, because those are both sides. This side the same as this side the same as this. So then multiply also, the left side multiplication must be same as right side multiplication. So therefore, why I am multiplying? Because I can get rid of b. There's a logic. I'm not just blindly doing things. Right? So therefore, 3 to the power a plus b into 3 to the power a minus b equal 243 into 27. So then multiplication become addition, then plus b minus b get cancelled out, then 3 to the power 2a equal this. Now if I can write this as a power of 3, I am done. Right? So just check. 3, 9, 27, 27 into 3, 81, 81 into 3, 243, yes. That is 3 to the power 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 to the power 5. And 27 is 3 to the power 3. So therefore 3 to the power 2a equal, again multiplication means addition, 3 to the power 8. So therefore now 3 to the power 2a is 3 to the power 8. In equations, when the base is the same, you can equate the indices. So therefore 2a equal 8, a equal 4. So if a equal 4, it can't be any other number, right? Answer is D. Fifth one, D. Yes, answer is D. Okay. 6. So this is fun, right? This paper is full of fun. Full of fun. It's not boring, right? It's not boring. මට නම් මේ question අද එළි වෙනකන් උනත් හදන්න පුළුවන්. Right? Yes, it's difficult, it's complex, but it's, I don't know, it depends on your attitude, okay? This is not just memorizing and reciting, right? Let P and Q two propositions. Which of the following is a tautologies? Right. So tautology means for all possibilities it must be true. So usually this take time. මේවා කියව time consume කරනවා අනිවාර්යෙන්. ඇයි? මේවා බලන්න මේ අනිත් එක implies නේ. So therefore we'll do this as the last one. අන්තිමට කරමු. We are going to do it, but let's do finish it first, okay? නැත්නම් ඕක කරන්න ගියාට පස්සේ ඔළුව කක්කම හැදෙනවා. Truth table හදනකොට. Right, seventh one. Let P be the statement product is good. And Q be the statement service is good. Symbolic form of the compound statement, either product is good or service is good, but not both. So that is super easy, right? ඔන්න ඔය තමයි lazy questions. පළවෙනි round එක අනිවාර්යෙන් කරන්න. So P, this is Q, product is good. Service is good, sorry, this is P, product is good is P. Service is good is Q. So this says either product is good or service is good. That is POQ. POQ. But remember, but means and. I told you, right? I think we got a similar question in the last paper also. Always but means and. So therefore, but that is and. Not both. Not both means P and Q. Both means and. So that means POQ and not P and Q. Not P and Q. Not both. So therefore, this is the statement, right? POQ and not P and Q. Do we have that? POQ and not P and Q. A is the answer. This is POQ. Oh, no. This is P and Q. POQ and not POQ. It must be P and Q. Okay. And this one has only part. So the answer is A. Answer is A. Yes, A. Right. Eighth question. So this is easy question. මේවා තමයි පළවෙනි round එකේ ඔයා කරගෙන යන්න ඕන. ඇත්තට පළවෙනි round එකේ මේ වගේ lazy question ටික ඉස්සෙල්ලා කරලා ඉවර කරගන්න ටක් ගාලා. හරි. Which of the following sentence, and remember there are different type of questions, easy and less time consuming. Easy or doable but more time consuming. Others are difficult. And there are also some questions are difficult but less time consuming. And some question difficult and more time consuming. ඕක තමයි අන්තිමන කරන්න ඕන difficult and more time consuming. සමහර ඒවා difficult උනාට ඉක්මනට කරන්න පුළුවන් කියන්නේ difficult. හැබැයි ඔයා දන්නවා මේක difficult උනාට ඔයාලට high එක කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. First round එකේ යන්න ඕනේ easy and less time consuming. Easy and more time consuming එක කරන්නත් එපා. Right. So then second round, third round තුනකින් තමයි paper එක කරන්න ඕනේ. තුනකින් හරි හතරකින් හරි. And make it easy and less time consuming if you know your subject. Which of the following sentence is a proposition? Remember, proposition is a statement which can be true or definitely you can say it's false. Not both or none. Give me a glass of water. This is not a statement. This is order or request. Orders, requests, wishes. Right? Remember, those are not propositions. The propositions must be a first statement. Right? Not a request, order, okay? Wishes. The only even prime number is 2. That is correct, right? That is a statement. Yes, we know that only even prime number is 2. All the other prime numbers are odd. That is a true proposition. We just need a proposition, right? If it is false, still it's our answer. Because this doesn't say true proposition, it says proposition. So this is a proposition. Right? This is a proposition. What is the time now? Questions are not propositions. You are asking question. If x and y are both are odd integers, x and y are odd integers, then this is x implies y type. So remember, if x and y are odd integers, then x plus y is odd integer. Right? Is it true? Normally false. මෙහෙම වුණොත් මෙහෙම වෙනවද? When we have two odd integers, like 3 and 5, 3 and 9, is the summation also odd? No, right? For example, if you take 3 and 5, the summation is 3 plus 5, which is not odd, right? Which is not odd. So that is false. But if it is always false, still it's a proposition, right? So therefore, we need to be, just because it is false, you can't say that it's not a proposition, because sometimes maybe it's always false. So then also it's again proposition. So therefore, you can't say because it's false, it's not a proposition, because we can have false propositions, right? So odd integers. So let's take another two odd integers, because for this example, it is false. So let's say 5 and 11. So 5 and 11 are odd integers. So then what about this? 5 plus 11? 5 plus 11 is 17. So 17 is not odd integer. It looks like this is always false for me. Can you see a possibility of true? Because if you can find at least one possibility of true where all the other places it is false, then it is not a proposition, because it can be true, it can be false. But if it is always false, for all the odd integers it is false, then it's a proposition. Okay? So I can't find a contradiction. ඕන ඔඩ් නම්බර්ස් දෙකක් අරන් බලන්න එකතු කරාට පස්සේ ඔඩ් නෙමෙයි නේද? එකතු කර ඔයාට එනවනේ ඔඩ් නම්බර්ස් දෙක එකතු කරාම even වෙනවා කියන්නේ නේ. එහෙනම් මේක false. මේක false. මේ statement එක always false for me. Right? Just because x and y is there, you can't say it's not a proposition, right? Because maybe for all the x and y values, possible here odd integers, this looks false for me. So therefore, it's a proposition. If something is always false, for all the values it is false, it's a proposition. If something is all false, true, for all the values it is a proposition. But if it is so some values true, some values false, it's not a proposition. But for me, for all the odd integers, this is false. Because all the odd integers, when we add, we get even. So therefore, the statement is false. So God bless you is not a proposition, right? Those are just wishes. Who cares about wishes? Right? In logic. Right. Answer is B and D. B and D. Okay. Is it clear? Is it clear? Right. 9. The inverse and contrapositive of a conditional statement P and this is theory. This is theory. So we discuss about for a given statement, we have the contra inverse, we have the contrapositive. So remember that is mentioned in your logic. We had about 4 notes for logic, right? So why I'm opening this because I can't remember. හරි මම ඔක මතක තියාගෙන ඉන්නේ නැහැ. නමුත් අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තා. හරි ඕගොල්ලෝ නිභාගයට එන්න ඕගොල්ලෝ මතක තියාගෙන යන්න. Boolean logic. If and only if. Which one is Ametin? Open on Kelim. So inverse is not x implies not y. Right? Inverse is not x implies not y. That is inverse. So inverse must be not x implies not y. First one is inverse. So this is correct. Sorry, not q, not p. Not p implies not q. Not p implies not q. This one is correct. Not p implies not q. This one correct. This is not q implies not p. No. So far b and e is correct because this is your inverse. So then I need second one as the contrapositive. Contrapositive quick if x implies y, that is not y implies not x. එතකොට දෙපැත්ත මාරු වෙනවා. මෙහෙම ආවොත් එහෙම දෙපැත්ත මාරු වෙනවා. So therefore, contrapositive is not q implies not p. Not q implies not p. This is correct. So this one is where the both are correct. Both are correct. So therefore answer is E. ඒක නේද මතක තියාගන්න ඕන. අපි මේවයින් මොකද්ද හරියන්නේ? Contrapositive verb. But converse, inverse, those are not correct. Contrapositive, yes. Whenever x implies y, we can say not y implies not x. But you can't say like that, right? We can't say x implies y is same as y implies x. No. X implies y doesn't mean that not x implies not y. Inverse is not correct. Converse is not correct. But contrapositive, yes. When someone says x implies y, that means if not y implies not x. Okay. ඒවා කළා තියෙන්නේ ඔය මතක තියාගෙන යන්න. නමුත් අහලා තියෙනවා. හරි contrapositive is correct but converse and inverse are not correct. Okay. correctද නැද්ද කියලා නෙමෙයි අහලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ දෙක මොකක්ද කියලා අහලා තියෙන්නේ. හරි. Right. 10th question. Let Cx be the predicate, right? Predicate or propositional function x in code of comedy. Sorry, x is a comedian, right? Cx is x is a comedian. Let that is Cx, okay? Fx be the predicate x is funny. So this Cx says x is a comedian, Fx says x is funny, right? Then the statement every comedian is funny. So that means if x is a comedian, x must that implies x is funny for every. Every means all. For all x, right? For all x, this is what this statement says, right? All x, C implies F, right? C implies, that is Cx implies every comedian is funny. If, right? Funny is Fx. Cx implies Fx. But for all, this statement, right? Do we have that? All x, Cx implies Fx. This is correct. Not x is x. This is an. This is an. This is an. මතකනේ මේක ලියන්න පුළුවන් ඕන and වලින්. නම් ඒක not එකත් එක්ක එන්නේ. right මතකයි නේ? ඒක මතකයි නේද? A implies B, we can write it as x implies y, we can write it as not x or y. එක්ක x නොවෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් y වෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි කියනවා එක්ක y වෙන්න ඕනේ නැත්නම් x වෙලා නැහැ. right? So there's no such thing. So therefore the answer must be A. Let's see. Is it clear? 11. Right. A delta B delta කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? XO මේක lazy. ඔන්න පළවෙනි රවුම කරන්න පුළුවන් questions. XO. බලන්න XO යවනා තියෙන්නේ that XO means only belong to one side. One belong to this, not to other. Yes. Two no. Belong to both. Three no. Belong to both. Five no. Belong to both. Four we can take. Six we can take. Seven we can take. So XO values includes 1, 4, 6, 7. C. C. 11 C. That is the easiest so far. මොකද දැන්ට හම්බෙච්ච ලේසිම question එක. Right. 12. Which one of the following is not a propositional function? Propositional function, right? Predicate. Predicate එකක් යනකොට අනිවාර්යෙන් true අනිවාර්යෙන් false කියලා කියන්න බෑ. It can be true, it can be false. Right? For some values it can be true, for some other values it will be false. Right? It's not a proposition, propositional function, predicate. Proposition means for all the values it is true or for all the values it is false. Right? But if it can be true for some values, it can be false for some values, that is a predicate, not a proposition. Or predicate is a propositional function. Right? What about this? So they have not they mentioned what is your x is. Let's hope x is, no, it depends, right? X is a cat. So here x must be a number. Right, so actually they should have mentioned what is your x is for each and every scenario, maybe real numbers or whatever. But definitely, uh, can we find some values which is zero, some values which is not zero? For example, when x is zero, this is true. 0 squared plus 2 times 0 is 0. But if you take something like 5, 5 squared plus, that is 25 plus 10 is not 0. That means it can be true, it can be false. For some values true, some values false. Okay, so therefore I'll go for this as a predicate because it can be true, it can be false. It can be true, it can be false. Is it clear? So therefore I'll take it as a predicate. What about this? X must be greater than or equal to minus 2. But it depends, right? For some numbers, it's greater than minus 2, like minus, say, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if it is minus 5 is not greater than or equal to minus 2. So therefore, for me, this is a predicate. What about this? So this is always true, right? Always x squared minus 1 is because this is a rule. So this is a rule because this is true for any x value. Whether x is 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10. Right? Because this is a rule. So if it is always true, it's not a predicate. Or it's not a propositional function, it's a proposition. This is true. So therefore, I will not take this as a predicate. X is a cat, it depends, right? If X is, say, our dog, that is false. Say X is our cat, yes, it is true. So it depends. Right? If X, sometimes you say X is animal, so not every animal is a cat. Some animals are cats, some animals are not cats. So it's a predicate. Again, some people really loves you, some people may not love you. Right? You can't say that everyone love. Why? Right? So therefore, it can be maybe true for some people, maybe false for some people. So therefore, I'll say it's a predicate. Right? But this is a rule. This is always true, right? That is why we say it's a difference of square rule. So rules are always true. So if it's always true, it's not a predicate, it's a proposition. It's not a propositional function, it's a proposition. Right? So I'll go for A, B, D, and E. Oh, they ask not. You can see not. So therefore, not one is what? Not one is C, right? Not one is C. So that is my stupidity losing that marks, right? Because it says not. So not means the answer is C. Okay. So let's move on to the 13th question. What is the negation of the proposition P implies QOR? So remember they ask about the negation, right? Right. So this is our statement. So negation means take the not, right? So remember we don't know how to take the not of X implies Y, right? There's no rule for that. But remember we can write it using another approach. Remember X implies Y, right? X implies Y, we can write it as it is equivalent to not Y or X because either X must happen or Y has not. Sorry, either Y must happen or X must not happen. Right? Y or not X. Because whenever X happens, Y happen. So therefore either Y has happened or X has not happened. Remember that is this one, conditional law. Right? X implies Y is equivalent to this because the truth tables are identical. X implies Y truth table and X not X or Y truth tables are identical. Okay. So therefore negation of this one is negation of this one. And the good news is here we can apply De Morgan rule because A or B not A is not A and not B. So therefore we can write this as not Y and not of not x. Not of not x is x. Remember, x implies y is y or not x. Then not of this is not of this. Then applying De Morgan rule, we got not y and not of not x is x and double complement. But remember, our y is, so remember, we took it as x implies y. This is my x. This is my y. Okay. So therefore, now I can write it as its negation as if we start with x implies y, its negation is minus y and x. If my x is p and y is QOR, then I can write it as not of QOR, QOR and x is p. Do we have that? Okay, not of QOR. Okay, but we have this. Ah, yes, right. So remember, not of QOR, we can write it as again applying De Morgan rule, not Q and not R and P. And because this is also and this is also and this bracket has no meaning because n. So therefore, even I can write not Q and not R and P. Do we have that? Yes, you can see not Q and not R and P. Remember, when you have all not, we can swap because A and B is same as B and A. So therefore, this is not Q and not R and P. So when we have all nots, we can swap these. Okay. So therefore, here they have taken P to the front, then not Q, and then not R. So that is P and not Q and not R. So answer is C. Okay. Is it clear? So we because the easiest way is take the equivalent statement because here we know we have rules for not. Here you don't have rules for not. Okay. So answer is A. 14. In a group of 100 students, it's a set question, right? I will erase this. Right. In a group of 100 students who appeared for an examination, 32 students failed in mathematics and 52 students failed in physics and 24 students failed in both mathematics and physics. What is the total number of students who passed in both physics and mathematics? This is, we can do it like of sets. So let's say this is students who pass mathematics and students who pass physics. I'm just taking pass, right? Not fail. This is our universal set. Why I draw like that? There can be students who have passed both. This is who have not passed any, passed none. In a group of 100 students, so therefore this is 100. My universal set has 100. 32 students failed in mathematics, so they are outside maths, failed in maths. Okay. Or you can say this is failed maths and failed. That is another way of doing that. Okay. Right. So shall we take it as fail? Right. So this is math fail student. This is physics fail student. So this is both fail student. This is only math fail. This is only physics fail. This is neither fail. So I took it as fail, right? Because they talk about fail, fail, fail. Altogether 100. So here, not that means both pass both physics and maths because neither fail maths nor fail physics. Right, 32 students failed in mathematics. So 32 here. Uh, and 52 students failed in physics. 52 here. Okay. And 24 students failed both maths and physics. So 24 here. Now we can easily do it. 24 here is 32 here. This must be 32 minus 22, 24. That is 8. This must be 52 minus the 24. 52 minus 24. 28? Yes, 28. So then we know that this is 28, this is 24, this is 8. 100 minus this must be here. That is 8 plus 24 plus 28 is, or else you can say this is 32. 32 plus 28. 32 plus 28 is 60. So then this must be 40 because altogether 100. So the question is, what is the total number of students who pass both physics and maths? So this is, remember, this is fail maths. So therefore, this is not fail maths, nor fail physics. So therefore, who has not failed both maths and physics? Not fail, or maths or physics, right? So that means not fail maths, not fail physics, because these guys fail maths but pass physics. These guys fail physics but pass maths. These guys have failed both. Then these guys are not failed any of these. So therefore the answer is number of students who have passed both physics and maths means they have not failed physics and maths. So therefore this is my answer, 40. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේක පාස් කියලා ලියන්න ඕන. එහෙම හදන්න පුළුවන්. හරි මම ෆේල් කියලාම ලියුවොත් උත්තර තියෙන්නේ ෆේල්. හැබැයි ක්වෙස්චන් එක තියෙන්නේ පාස්. පාස් කියන්නේ මේ එළියේ ඉන්න අය. ෆේල් නැති අය. දෙකම ෆේල්. හරි එකක්වත් ෆේල් නැහැ. So the answer must be A. Okay, is it clear? මේක පාස් කියලා හදන්නත් තියුණා හරි. එහෙම හදලා බලන්න. මේ විදිහට කචල් වගේ නේද? Right, 15. 15. Let A equal 2, 3, 4 and B equal x is a real number and it satisfy this. That makes මූල තමයි උත්තර වෙන්නේ. මේ සෙට් එක කෙලින්ම දීලා නැහැ. Which of the following statement is are true? දැන් මේක හොයන්න පුළුවන් මේ සෙට් එක දන්නවනම්. What is this set? So those are the solution to this. X squared minus 7x plus 2. This is a typical question. So when you simplify, you must get minus 7. And when you multiply, you must get 12. What are those? Minus 4 and minus 3. Minus 4 minus 3 is minus 7. Minus 4 into minus 3 is plus 12. Minus 4x minus 3x plus 12 equals 0. Take 2 by 2. X minus 4 අනිවාර්යෙන් සාධක කැඩෙනවනේ අපි හරි විදිහට කරේ. Minus 3x minus 4. ඒ ගැන සැකයක් නැහැ. හරි වැඩේ කරොත් හරි ප්‍රතිඵලය ලැබෙන්නම ඕන. Right, so therefore x minus 4 is common. X minus 3 equals 0. X equal 4 or x equal 3. So therefore this is basically 4, 3 set. That is how B. Then if you want to A equal B, no, because A has 2, 3, 4. This has 4, 3. A is a subset of B? No. Actually, B is a subset of A. A is a proper subset of B? No. B has more elements. Sorry, A has more elements. B is a subset of A? Yes, 4 and 3 is here. Right. B is a proper subset of A, yes. Because all the elements in A are in B. And they are not the same. All the elements in B in A and they are not the same. A intersection B is A. A intersection B is basically 2 and 3. Sorry, 3 and 4. Right, 3 and 4. But that is not A, that is B. Actually, A intersection B is not B. A intersection B is A because A is the B is the subset. So therefore, this is not correct. Right? So the answer must be D. D. So once you find these two values, it's super easy question. So this is super easy question, right? And the book let A, B, C be three subsets of set, then A minus B union C is equal to. මේවයි මොකක්ද දාන්න. හොඳම වැඩේ පාට කරන්න. එතකොට මේකත් එක්ක ඒක කම්පෙයාර් කරන්න. Right. So this is B union A B C තුන් දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. අනිත් තාව ටිකක් ලොකු කරන් දෙන්න. And so we have A B C three sets. අන් තේරෙන්නේ නැත කියන්න A B C B union C. B union C is this, right? From A, you need to get rid of B union C. Then what you get is this. This is A minus B union C, this part. Right? So if any of these is this part, that is answer. Okay, so it පොඩ්ඩක් වෙලායයි දැන් බලන්න එක එක අරගෙන. මොකද multiple answers are possible. A minus B is from A you get rid of B, that is, let's draw it. මේක වෙලා යනවා I think. මේ ඔක්කොටම අදින්න ඕන වෙනවා. A minus B. A විදිහටම ABC අඳින්න හැබැයි. From A you get rid of B, that is this. Union A minus C. ඒක වෙන්න බෑනේ. දැන්ට මේ අනවශ්‍ය කොටසක් ඇවිල්ලානේ තියෙන්නේ. ඒතකොට union වුණා තා එකතු වෙනවා මිසක් අඩු වෙන්නේ නැහැ. This can't be the case. Okay, this can't be the answer. B. A minus B minus C. From A you get rid of B. From A you get rid of B. So then this one, then you get rid of C also. So අරෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේ චුට්ට. හරි ඒකෙන් B වයින් කරපුවාම මේ ටික නෑ. C වයින් කරපුවාම මේ ටිකත් නෑ. So that is exactly correct. So that is correct, right? ඒකෙන් අයින් කරා B ව මේ ටික යාගෙන් C වත් අයින් කරා. එතකොට මේ ටිකත් අයින් වෙලා ගියා. So ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ මේ ටිකනේ. Yes. C. A minus B intersection A minus B. This is time consuming. Easy but time consuming. A minus B means this part. Okay. Intersection A minus C. From A you get rid of C. ඒක වෙන පාටකින් තමයි අදින්න වෙන්නේ. ඒකෙන් අයින් කරන්න ඕන C. එතකොට එනවා මෙන්න මේ කොල්ල. ඒ දෙනගේ ඉන්ටර්සෙක්ෂන් එක ගන්න කියන්නේ. එතකොට මේ රෙඩ් කෑල්ලයි yellow කෑල්ලයි ගන්න බෑ ඒකත් උත්තරයක්. So then you get this part. Yes. මොකද මේ කෑල්ල ගන්න බෑ මේ කෑල්ල ගන්න බෑ both lines stand. This is an answer. D. D. යදින්න ඕන. A B C තුනම ඉන්නවනේ. මේක වෙලා වෙන question එකක්. A intersection A අයිති වෙන්න ඕන. B intersection C complement එක. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙන්න මෙයාගෙන් එළියට යන්න ඕන. මෙයාගෙන් එළියේ ඉන්න ඕන. B minus C complement means anything outside intersection. මෙයාට මේ කැලල අයින් වෙන්න ඕන. So then That is also correct, right? මේ ටික අහු වෙනවා. නෑ එතකොට මේ දෙක අහු වෙනවා. So this is not answer. So because then this is also covered. එක අහු වෙනවනේ. So that is not in the original one. So this is not answer. What about this? A minus B union C. Union කිව්වම මේ C එක ඔක්කොම ටික අහු වෙනවනේ. So ඒක ඇල නැහැ. So therefore this is definitely not answer. So therefore I'll go for B and C. Right? B and C. 16 B and C. B අරන්නේ නැහැ. Why not B? C හරි. ඔබන් B ආවේ නැත්තේ ඇයි කියලා මම වැරද්දුවද? කවුරුත් කිව්වෙත් නැහැ මොකුත් හැබැයි වැරද්දුවා කියන්නේ. C හරියා. C හරි. ටික ලොකුවට අන්නේ. A B C. A B C. A minus B. A ගෙන් B අයින් වෙන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට එනවා අපිට from A get rid of B. That is this. ඔන්න ඔයා. Okay. A minus B. Then you get rid of anything C. C ටිකත් අයින් කළා දාන්න. C ටික අයින් කරාම මෙන්න මේ ටික නැති වෙලා යනවා. එතකොට ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ හරියට මේ ටිකනේ. Right? වරහණක් තියනද මෙතන? අපි මෙයා ඉස්සෙල්ලා කරොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? එහෙම කරන්න බෑනේ. B minus B ගෙන් C අයින් කරන්න. වෙනවා මේ ටික. නේ මන් දන්නේ. Anyone has idea why B is not taken? So shall we ask from ChatGPT? Because for me B and C, but examiner says only C. For me B and C, okay? For me B and C, okay? Examiner says C only. Yeah, ChatGPT says B and C, okay? ChatGPT says B is correct, C is correct. So shall we ask Gemini also? සාමාන්‍ය මැත්ස් පේපර් එකේ වැරදි උත්තර එන්නේ එහෙම එන්නෙම නැහැ. මොකද මැත්ස් කරන අය බයනේ රෙස්පොන්සිබල් කට්ටියනේ. විකාර පේපර් හදන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක ලොජිකල් තින්කර්ස් අනේ මැත්ස් හදන පේපර් එක හදන්නේ. ලේසියෙන් වැරදි උත්තරයක් දාන්න ඒගොල්ලෝ හරි රෙස්පොන්සිබල්. මැත්ස් කරන ප්‍රොෆෙසර්ස්ලා. ඒකම ආයි නැත්තම් මම සාමාන්‍ය දෙකටම දාන්නේ නැහනේ. taking intersection මේ හරියට උත්තරේ කියන්නේ නැහැ. Only the elements that are purely and කෝ උත්තර කියන්නේ නැත්තේ. අහන්න ඕන දැන් මෙයාගෙන්. correct answers. भारत लोग बताए मैं जेमिनी එච්චර මේ උත්තර හරියට කියන්නේ විකාර කියනවා හිටුකම ආයත් කියන්නේ B and C කියලා B and C B is mathematically equivalent හන්ද C ත් එක්ක හරියලු හරි so that is a debatable answer right rare situation සාමාන්‍යයෙන් එහෙම වෙනවා හරිම අඩුයි examiner says only C but me ChatGPT and Gemini says B and C okay right 17 let A 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 then the number of subsets of A containing either two elements or three elements, right? So this is actually a combination question. Out of this, how many ways we can take two elements? But this is not permutation because remember in sets order doesn't matter. 1 comma 2 is same as 2 comma 1. So therefore definitely not a permutation, combination, right? So how many elements are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Remember subsets containing two elements. ඔක්කොම subsets නෙමෙයි යා. Elements දෙකේ subsets. Element දෙකේ subset කීයක් හදන්න පුළුවන්ද? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8C2 plus or three elements. Three element එකයි කීයක් හදන්න පුළුවන්ද? 8C3. මොකද මේගොල්ලෝ distinct එකිනෙකට වෙනස් element. 8C3. So 8C2 or that is 8C2 number of two element subsets and 8C3 number of three element subsets. Okay. නිකම්ම subset නෙමෙයි යා two element subsets, three element subsets. මේ කීයද? Factorial, remember NCR is factorial n divided by factorial r factorial n minus r. That is factorial 8 divided by factorial 2, factorial 8 minus 2, that is factorial 6. Plus here factorial 8 divided by factorial 3, 8 minus 3 factorial 5. So here we have 8 into 7, rest of the stuff cancelled to this one. Then 2 plus here 8 into 6, rest of the stuff cancelled to this one. So 8 into 7 into 6. 8, 7, 6. So then rest of the stuff cancelled to this one. Then 3 into 2. 3 into 2 get cancelled with this one. Here 4. 4 into 7, 28 plus 8 into 7. 8 into 5, 40, 48. 56, right? Yeah, 56. 56 plus 20. 84 ways, right? 84 ways. 28 ways, two elements. 56 ways, three elements. So therefore, two or three elements. That is 28 plus 56, 84 ways. So the answer must be C. Okay. Yes, answer is C. Okay. එක තේරෙනවද? Right? How many ways we can take two elements? How many ways, right? No permutation. දැන් මෙතනින් ගත්තොත් එහෙම 3,4 ඕක තව එකක් වෙන්නේ 4,3. Right? 3 elements ගත්තමයි 6, 7, 8. අපිට තව එකක් ලියන්න බෑ 6, 8, 7 කියලා because in a set order doesn't matter. 6, 7, 8 is the same set as 6, 8, 7. So it's a permutation question. අහලා තියෙන sets වගේ හැබැයි ඇත්තටම permutation. Okay. It's a permutation plus sets. Right. 18. අපිට මේ question එක කලින් paper එකේ තමුණා නේද? 25. Right. 18. Let x 1, 2, 3, 4 and y 2, 4, 6, 8. Then number of proper subset of x union y. Right. First, let's find x union y. X union y that contains 1, 2, 3, 4. Anything in x is there. 2 and 4 is already there. Then 6 and 8. Okay. So that is our x union y. How many proper subsets? Remember, set of all subsets are called power set. මතකද power set ගැන කතා කරා. Right? Power set has 2 to the power n number of elements. Power set has. Right? If you have n number of elements, power set has 2 to the power n number of elements because every subset you need to take it as element. But that is power set has all the subsets. but this says all the proper subsets. So therefore, remember one of the subset is itself. Itself. So for every set, itself is a subset, but that is power set has all the subsets, but this is all the proper subset. So therefore, you need to subtract that one because that is not a proper subset if that is included, right? So therefore, you need to subtract one. Okay. Sets not take මේක තියෙනවා හරි. Sets not එකේ sets power set all the subsets. You can see. So if you have S number of elements, right? S number of elements, you have 2 to the power S number of elements in the power set. Right? And 3 number of elements in up to 2 to the power 3, 8 number of power. හැබැයි මෙතන මම මෙයාව අයින් කරන්න ඕන මොකද because this is not a proper subset. Question is not about the power set. Question is about all the proper subsets. Okay, proper subsets. So therefore, we need to subtract one. So therefore, now n is 8. So therefore, 2 to the power 8 minus 1. Because මෙයාගෙන් හැදෙන්න පුළුවන් subset ගන්න 2 to the power 8. But they talk about proper subset. So therefore, itself is also subset that we need to reduce. 2 to the power 8 can be the 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 128, 256, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 256 minus 1, 255. So how many proper subsets we can create from this C? Yes, D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. How many elements? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not 2 to the power 8. 6 elements. 6 elements. 2 to the power 6 minus 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 64 minus 1. 63. Yes, answer is 63. මම නිකන් ගණන් කරන්නේ මෙතන මේ 6ට පස් 4ට පස් 5 7 නෑනේ. Right, 63 elements. Because we have 6 elements, 2 to the power 6 minus 1. That is 63 elements. Okay. Right. Answer is correct. Right. It's my mistake. 19. What is the cardinality of the set of positive integers less than 10? ඔන්න ඔතයි පළවෙනි round එකේ කරන්න ඕන questions. මේක බැලුව ගමන් තේරෙනවා ලේසි කියලා. Right. Cardinality means how many elements are in that set? මේකෙදි පොඩි එකක් කියන්න පුළුවන්. Set of odd positive integers. Odd positive integers less than 10. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So this is the set of odd positive integers. So what is the cardinality? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make කරන්න බැරි වුණා නම් එහෙම හරිම සවුත්. හරි. ඒ කියන්නේ වගේ common sense සෙන්සරෙත් ගිහිල්ලා වගේ. Answer must be C. මේ තමයි first round එකේ කරන්න ඕන. 20. අමාරු question එකක් බැරි වුණාට කමක් නැහැ. හරි. හැබැයි මේ වගේ ලේසි එකක් බෑ කියනවාට එක්කෝ මේක ඉංග්‍රීසි තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. Right, 20. Let S be a set with 5 elements. Then how many binary relations are there on S that are reflexive and symmetric? මේක නම් මටත් හිතා ගන්න බෑ කොහොමද හදන්නේ කියලා. හරි. මොකද elements පහක් තියෙනවා නම් හරි element පහක් තියෙනවා. I can something like this. A, B, C, D, E. Okay. Let S be set with 5 elements. Then how many binary relations are there on S? On S. Right? Binary relations are ne. So to make S to S දන්නේ S to S වෙන්නේ නැති නේද? තව සෙට් එකක් ගැන කියන්නේ රිලේෂන්ෂිප් හැදෙන්න නම් රිලේෂන්ස් හැදෙන්න නම් දෙපැත්තක් තියෙන්න බෑ. On S කියලා තියෙන. එහෙම නැති මෙයත් S මම පෙන්න ඕන. A B මම A B C D E කියලා ගත්තේ 5 elements කියලා හරි. Binary relations මේ වගේ කීයක් හදන්න පුළුවන් දාන්නේ බුදුහාම මේක ඇද්ද කොච්චර හදන්න පුළුවන්. And they must be reflexive and symmetric. The reflexive can A to A තියෙන්න ඕන අනිවාර්යෙන්. B to B, C to C, D to D, E to E තියෙන්න ඕන. Okay? Relations are functions කියලා දැන්. So then it is reflexive. Then symmetric means if you have A to B, you must have B to A. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ කොච්චර හදන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා මට හිතා ගන්න බෑ. මේ බලන්නකො ලොකු ගණන් තියෙන 225. පොඩි මෙක්කෙනක් 2.9. හරි මම chat GPT එකක් දාලා බලුවා මට chat GPT මොකද්ද උටපටයක්වත් තේරුන්නේ නැහැ. හරි. මේ කොහොමද හිතන්නේ? අපි ආයි chat GPT දාලා බලමුද? මොකද කී විදියක් තියෙනවද කියලා අහන්නේ ඉතින්. So that is very tough question. ඒක නම් හිතා ගන්නවත් මට හිතන්නවත් හිතා ගන්න තේරෙන්නේ. Two to the power 10 ලු. 2 to the power 10 උත්තරේ නම් තිබුණා මං හිතන්නේ. ඒ උත්තරේ 20. yes උත්තරේ නම් හරි. මම කීයද බැලුවා හොයාගන්න බැරි. Total ordered pairs 5 තියෙනවා නම් 25 ලු ordered pairs. ඒක හරිනේ A B B A to B A to C A to D එහෙම එහෙම යන්න පුළුවන් 25 නේ. Reflexive condition. So therefore A B B C C D D E must be there. Okay. 5 such pairs and they are fixed. ඒවා අනිවාර්යෙන් ඉන්න ඕන. Symmetric. AB is included, then BA must also be included. Thus, unordered pair contributes one binary choice. මේක නම් මට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ මොකද්ද මේ කියන්නේ. One binary choice. Include both pairs or exclude both pairs. බලන්න ඕගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙනවද කියලා මට නම් තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. හරි? මට තේරෙන්නේ නැතුනට ඕගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙන්නේ නැති සමහරලාට නේද? ඕගොල්ලෝ younger generation එකනේ. Just double check. Okay, I have no clue about that. අපි එක තියලා යන්න. Right, next one. That should be easy. බලන්න තේරෙනවා ඒක ලේසි එකක් වෙන්න ඕන. Let x and y be two subsets of a set. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි එක universal set එක කියලා ගමු. හරි x and y of a set. ඒ කියන්නේ any two sets are x and y කියන්නේ අපි සාධාරණවද x and y. මෙයාට equivalent වෙන්නේ. අපි මෙයා ඉස්සරහින් y union x complement. කියන්නේ x union y ට අදාළ නැති ඔක්කොම ටික. That is this. Intersection S. එහෙමයි නැති වෙන්න බෑනේ. So it must belong to outside this and belong to x. No this is intersection. So that is empty set. There's no such set. 21 must be E. That's easy question, right? 39. Yes, answer is C. අන්නේ ලේසි ක්වෙස්චන් ටික දඩබඩ ගාලා ඉවර කරගන්න. ඒතකොට අඩු ගන්න ඔයා ඉස්සෙල්ලා පාස් වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි යන්න ඕනේ මේක C එක B එකක් කරලා ඒකක් කරගන්න. ඉස්සෙල්ලා පාස් වෙලා ඉන්න ඕනේ. පළවෙනි රවුමෙන් පාස් වෙන්න ඕන. දෙවෙනි රවුමෙන් B වෙන්න ඕන. තුන්වෙනි රවුමෙන් A වෙන්න ඕන. 22. Let P and Q be two propositions. Which of the following statement is correct regarding the argument? This is argument, right? P implies Q. Q. මේක මතකයිනේ මේ සිම්බල් එක therefore Q. Right? P implies Q. Q therefore Q. ආපු මේක තමයි අර මෝඩස් ෆෝන් මේ අර නම් වලින් දාලා තියෙන මේවට එක එක නම්. මම ඒක නෝට් එකට නම් දැම්මේ නෑ අහන එකක් නැහැ කියලා ඒක අහලානේ. නමුත් අහලා ඒක නෙවෙයි. වෙනද එක්සැමිනේ වැඩිම බලන්නේ ලොජික්ම තමයි යා. ලොජික්ම තමයි තත් ඒක හරි ඉතින් ලොජික්ම තමයි අපිට ඕන IT කරනවා. අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලා මේක වැලිඩ්ද කියලා බලමු. මොකද වැලිඩ්ද වචන අමතක කළා වැලිඩ් ආගියුමන්ට් right වැලිඩ් ආගියුමන්ට් හැබැයි ඔක්කොම කියනවා වැලිඩ් කියලා. හරි. not a valid. අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලා වැලිඩ් නැත් බලමු. P implies Q. ඉතින් වැලිඩ් නෙමෙයි Q වෙලානේ. Remember, how do you check whether valid? There are two approaches. The easy approach is we can assume that both are true. Now you can check whether when both are true, this must be always true. Yes, Q is true. If Q is true, Q is true. So එතකොට මේක invalid කට්ටිය ගන්න බෑ. මේක valid. හරි මේක not valid වෙන්න බෑ. valid. ඊට පස්සේ නම් මේ නම් අහලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ මෝඩස් මන් දන්නේ මම කියවන්නේවත් කොහොමද කියලා මම හිතන්නේ මේ ග්‍රීක වචනද මන් දන්නේ මේක තියෙනවා මේ කතන්දරයක් තියෙනවා මේ නම් තියෙනවා හරි ඒ කියන්නේ මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ආගියු කරද්දි වරදින තැන් හරි මේකට කියන්නේ රිසොලූෂන් මම මේවට මට කියව ගන්නව තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ හරි anyway what is the examiner's answer 22 හැබැයි අනිවාර්යෙන් CD නම් වෙන්න බෑ 22 අප්පට සීනි උත්තරේ not a valid Q කොහොමද යා මේක වැලිඩ් නේ P implies Q Q therefore Q ඉතින් මේ Q වෙලානේ අනිවාර්යෙන් Q වෙනා මේ Q වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මං හිතා right so අපි අහලා බලමු මොනා කරන්න මම හිතුවේ ඒක ඔබ්වියස් එකක් කියලා මේ චෙක් කරෙත් නැහැ කාන් ChatGPT දාලා බලමු කෝට් එක ඉවරයි C correct කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ නේ answer is C ඒක නේද ChatGPT මේ examiner ගේ answer එක no examiner's answer is I mean the question number 22 examiner's answer is C ChatGPT කියන්නේ C නේද examiner's answer is C ChatGPT can see කියලා. It is not a valid argument and is called a fallacy of affirming the conclusion. මේ කොහොමද එන්නේ? P implies Q, Q has happened. So if Q has happened, Q has happened, right? This is always true. P implies Q, Q. This is, we can assume that these are true. If this is true, right? Gemini ගෙනුත් අහගන්නවද? Anyone has any idea why there's මගේ ඔළුව මඤ්ඤං වල දෙපාර. එහෙම වෙන විදියක් නැහැ. මෙයා කියන examiner වැරදිලාලු ඒ පාර. Because option C perfectly names the fallacy of affirming the conclusion. Matching the two premises P implies Q and Q, it is certain that the examiner accidentally typed Q instead of P at the very end. Select C. මොනවා කියනවාද මන්ද? එයා කියන examiner වැරදිලාලු ඒකන්ද C කියලා ගන්න. ඉතින් typo එකක් වෙලාලු එයා කියනවා. මොකක් හරි උඩපට යන්න වෙලා තිනවා. This correct answer intended by the question is C. It is not a valid argument and is called the fallacy of affirming the conclusion. However, there's a clear typo in the exam paper's formula. Not Q කියලා තියනවලු P කියන්නේ නැතු. එයා වෙන කතන්දරයක් කියනවා. එයා කියන්නේ examiner question එක වැරදිලා කියලා. Let's keep it open, okay? So ChatGPT එකක් කියනවා, මෙයා තව එකක් කියනවා. I will also double check, but this is definitely valid, right? How can we say it's invalid? මේක invalid කියන්න බෑනේ. ChatGPT පොඩ්ඩක් අපි ප්‍රෙෂර් එකක් දාලා බලමුද? Why do you say argument is invalid කියලා? challenge කරන්න පුළුවන් හරි AI අපිට වැඩි බුද්ධිමත් වෙන්න බෑ. Why do you say the statement is invalid? Conclusion doesn't necessarily follow from the premises. Right? Doesn't necessarily. මෙයා මේ P කියලා හදාගෙන ආගියු කරන්නේ ඒක නෙවෙයි. තියෙන්නේ Q කියලානේ. Right? So the question says Q. ඒක දැන් typo එකක් කියන්නේ හරියට. හරි? මම හිතන්නේ එහෙම මොනාරි උඩපටයක් මේ කරලා තියෙන්නේ. මෙයා මේ PQ මාරු කරලා තමයි question එක කරන්නේ. You can see P implies Q, conclusion P. Right? So actually the conclusion is not P, conclusion is Q. ChatGPT පඬිත වැඩක් කරනවා පේනවද? The conclusion is Q, but ChatGPT has done it as P. මෙයා P කියලා දාලා තමයි මේ උත්තර ටික ගන්න. ඒක අතහැරලා දාමු. ChatGPT මම හිතන්නේ I think Gemini is better. Gemini says there's a examiner has made a mistake කියලා එයා ඒක එතනින් හරිය process කරේ නෑ. මෙයා කෙලිම P කියලා දාගෙන මෙයා උත්තරත් හොයලා ඉවරයි. හරි. දැනුත් ඒකයි මේ මම බැලුවේ කොහෙන්ද මෙයා මේ P එකක් ආවේ කියලා. හරි. So you can see it says, but this is not the question. Question says P implies Q, Q, therefore Q. අපෝ ඒ question එක අපි අතහැරලා දාමු. මම හිතන්නේ ඇත්තටම එක්සැම් එකේ වරද්දලා අහන්න තමයි මේගොල්ලෝ question එකේ වැරද්ද හදලා උත්තර දෙන්න හදන්නේ. හරි. So let's forget about that because this is definitely valid. Okay. Right, 23. The meaning of the proposition exists x all y p x y. That means there's at least one x, but for that x, all the y. Satisfy this, right? There's at least one x. For that x, all the y satisfy pxy. අන්න එහෙමයි කියවන්නේ. මේක sequentially කියවන්න ඕනේ. මේ දෙක දෙපැත්ත මාරු කරන්න බෑ. මේක කලවම් කරන්න බෑ. Sequentially you need to write it. You can't say all y exists x. එහෙම කරන්න බෑ මේවා. හරි? Right. So now let's see. There exists some x, correct? There exists some x such that pxy is false, not false, true for every y. මෙතන තියෙන්නේ false. There exists some x such that pxy is true for every y. That is correct. Right? True for every y. All y කියන්නේ every y. This is correct. Right? Some x, there exists, this is true for all y. For every y, there exists some x. නෑ එහෙම කියන්න බෑ. මෙතනින් පටන් ගන්න බෑ. You need to read it from left to right. Right? So this is wrong. Again, මෙයා දෙවෙනි එක නෑ පටන් ගන්න. එහෙම පටන් ගන්න බෑ. මෙහෙම දෙන්න මාරු කරන්න බෑ. හරි. එතකොට වෙන කතාවක්. මේ කියන්නේ හැම y-ටම එක x කෙනෙක් හරි ඉන්නවනේ මේක සැටිස්ෆයි නෑ. ඒ කතන්දරේ දෙකක්. හරි. හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න. When we say exists x all y, that is different from all y existing. This means there's at least one x. For that x, every y satisfy this. This means for every y, there is at least one x that satisfy this. So So therefore, you need to write it. There exists some y, there exists some x. Okay? හරියටම කියන්න. හරි ලේසි ඇත්තටම සීක්වන්ස් එකට කිව්වේ නැත්නම් මේක වෙන කතාවක්. හරි? So the answer must be B. Yes, B. 24. Let P, Q, and R be three propositions. If the compound proposition P implies Q implies R is false, then the truth values of P, Q, and R are respectively equal to. මෙයා ඒක තියලා යම් පොඩ්ඩක් ඒක හිමින් කල්පනා කරමු. Right, 25. A coin is tossed 10 times. The number of all possible outcomes. So that is super easy, right? 10 times දානවනම් එක හැම පාරම possibilities දෙකක් එනවා. That is first time. So then another two. Right, another two. රටාව පේනවද? එක පාරක් දැම්මොත් two possibilities. If you go for two times, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 තනි රටාව හදාගමු. If you go for three times, මොකද මට මේක 10 පාරක් අඳින්න බෑ. Three times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. දැන් බලන්න රටාව පේනවා. 4 times කීයක් වෙයිද? This is 2 to the power 2. This is 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2, 2 to the power 3. Then this is 1 times, 2 times, 3 times. If it is 10 times, right, 10 times, it must be 2 to the power 10 possibilities. Make a binary, right? Binary. So we must have 2 to the power 10. At the 1024 is not there. So therefore answer must be A. ඒක රටාව බලලා තමයි කියන්නේ නැතු මේක කොහේ මට 1024 කරනවා මේක අඳින්න බෑනේ මට තේරෙනවනේ. 1024 කියලා දන්නේ දැන් රටාව දැක්කම හරි. 25A. 26. Let A and B be two subsets of a set. Which of the following is correct? This is just definition. A minus B means belong to A and not belong to B. belong to A and not belong to B correct. Take an A minus B can. Right? Belong to A. Then you remove all the elements belong to B. Right? Belong to A and not belong to B correct. A union B is belong to A and no. Belong to A O. A union belong to A O belong to B correct. Belong to A no. This is and. This is correct. Right? A and B. So that is super easy question. On පළවෙනි round එක කරන questions. Right? පළවෙනි round එක කරාම ආට pressure එක අඩු වෙනවා ටික ටික. හරි ඔයා දන්නවා දැන් මම හරි දැන් මම 40 පෑන්නුවා කියලා ඉස්සෙල්ලා. හරි. Right? 26 answer must be A C E. C C E. හරි 40 පන්නන්න ලේසි නෑ හරි හැම දෙකක් කරනකොට එකක් වගේ හරියන්න ඕනේ. හරි. ඒතර මෙහෙම පළවෙනි රවුන්ඩ් එකට එකපාර 40 පයින් නෑ හැබැයි ආ 30කට විතර ලඟ වෙයි. right 27 මම මේ කියන එක හරි වැදගත් රවුන්ඩ්ස් වලින් යන්න නැත්නම් ඔයා question 30 කරනකොට පේපර් එක උත්තර පත්‍ර අරයි අයියා මැත්ස් පේපර් එකේ. ඔයා තාම පේපර් එකේ 20 ගණන් ඉදී. රවුන්ඩ් වලින් කරනකොට ඔයාට ප්‍රෙෂර් එක එන්නේ අඩු වෙනවා මොකද easy and fast questions තමයි ඉස්සර කරන්නේ. If x and y are two subsets of set, then x intersection y intersection x complement is equal to. එකත් ලේසි. එකත් first round එක කරන්න ඕන question එක. So let's do it. x and y දෙන්න ඉන්නේ. තවත් ලේසි. x y. Y intersection x complement means anything outside this. Right? Anything outside this. Y intersection x complement means anything outside the intersection. Right. Intersection x, now it belongs to x. So therefore intersection is basically this part, that is x minus y. Not x intersection y, not empty, not x. Y minus x is this part, no. So definitely answer must be B. B. 28. We have relation 1, 1, 1, blah, blah, blah. Be a binary relation on set 1, 2, 3, 4. ඒක easy. හරි. ඒක අන්නේ 1, 2, 3, 4. මොකද මෙහෙම යනම ලේසි. 1, 1. 1, 2, 2, 1. 1, 2, 2, 1. 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. So definitely reflexive. මේක හරි. It's symmetric. Whenever 1 to 2, there's 2 to 1. අනිත් ඒවා එහෙම නැහැ. Symmetric. Antisymmetric, no. Because when there's 1 to 2, there's 2 to 1. Transitive මෙයාට අදාළද? හරි. Right. අපි reflexive and antisymmetric, no. Because this is symmetric. මෙයා වෙන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් මෙතන පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. Transitive අදාළද? Transitive violate වෙලා නැහැ. හැබැයි transitive වෙන්න නම් whenever A to B and B to C, there must be A to C. දැන් එහෙම එකක් මෙයාට අදාළ නැහැ. හරි. එතකොට මේක violate වෙලා කියන්න පුළුවන්ද? මටත් මේ නෝක දැන් තමයි කල්පනා වුනේ. හරි. violate වෙලා කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්. violate වෙනවා කියලා කියන්න බෑ ඉතින් නේද? transitive එක වෙලත් නැහැ නොවිලත්. violate වෙලා නැති හන්ද අපි ගමු transitive එක නේද? I don't know. ඔන්න ඒක මටත් මේ දැනගන්න කුතුහලයක් තියෙනවා. ඇත්තටම transitive ද කියලා. මම ගන්නම් transitive කියලා. මොකද transitive violate වෙලා නැහැ. Okay. exam එක කොහොම ගනින්ද දන්නේ නැහැ. I'll go for A B D. more 28. ABD, yes. ABD. Okay, ABD. So transitive violet නැති හන්ද examine අරන් තියෙනවා. හරි examine අරන් තියෙනවා. Uh, I think that is fair because it has not violated. හැබැයි transitive check කරන්න විදියකුත් නැහැ. හැබැයි මෙතන මේවා තියෙනවද පුළුවන්නේ 1 to 1 and 2. So therefore 1 to 2 කියලා ඕනනම් ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. 1 to 1 and 1 to 2 therefore 1 to 2 කියලා ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මේ දෙපාරකුත් නැහැ. හරි මම හිතන්නේ violate කරලා නැති හන්ද ගන්න පුළුවන්. හරි. අපි chat GPT ට දාලා අහමුද මේක transitive ද කියලා සද්ද නැතුව. කෙලින් අහන්න නැතුව වටෙන් අහමු. Just to double check. Transitive or not? I hope this is transitive. Yeah, ඒත් කියන transitive කියලා. හරි. මෙයා මේ chain එකක් අරන් තියන අර 1 to 1 තියනවා කියන එකෙන් තමයි. හරි. 1 to 1. 1 to 1 තියනවා කියන එක. අපි මෙහෙම ආමුත් දැන්. අපි ආ මෙන්න මෙහෙම එකක් transitive කියලා. එහෙම එකකුත් නැති එක. Say we have something like this. 1 comma 2 comma 2 comma 1. Okay. And then we have 3 comma 4. කියන transitive වලට අදාළ එකක් නෑ මෙතන හැබැයි 4 comma 3. But now we can see this is definitely reflexive. දැන් මේක transitive කියලා ගන්න පුළුවන්ද? හරි. ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැන් කොහොමද මේකක් exam එකේ આવුත් එහෙම? Is this transitive? මට පේන්නේ නම් ඔව් කියලා. නමුත් ඇත්තටම transitive scenario මෙතන ඇත්තෙත් නැහැ. හැබැයි violate කරත් නැහැ. Okay. violate කරත් නැහැ. Oh. If AB and BC, then AC must exist, correct? 1 to 2 and 2 to 1 requires මෙයා කියන 1 to 2 ගිහලා 2 to 1 එන්න පුළුවන් නම් 1 to 1 තියෙන්න ඕන. ඒකත් හරියද? That's a fair point, right? Because if we are going 1 to 2 and 2 to 1, then there must be 1 to 1. Right? So there's no such thing. So that is fair. I think that's a very good point, right? Because that is a very good point. For example, if you are going from 1 to 2 and 2 to 1, to make it transitive, you must have 1 to 1. මෙහෙම ගිහලා මෙහෙම එනවා නම් මෙයාගෙන් මෙයාට එන්න තියෙනවා. හැබැයි මේකේ ඒව දුණා. 1 to 2, 2 to 1, we have 1 to 1. ඒක තමයි මෙයා transitive කියලා බය නැතුව කිව්වේ. හරි? Yes. So therefore answers are A, B and D. A, B and D. අර 1 to 1 එක නැති වුණාම transitive නෑ. Right, 29. හරි මම මේක try කරා ඇත්තටම. මම ආයි මෙතන time එක waste කරන්න කැමති නෑ. මට මේකට නම් උත්තරයක් හොයාගන්න බැරි වුණා. උත්තරයක් හොයාගන්න බැරි වුණා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද මේ කතන්දරේ කියලා. හරි? මම මොන question එක කියන්න ඕගොල්ලෝ පොඩ්ඩක් කල්පනා කරලා බලන්න. Let R be a binary relation on the set of all positive integers. All positive integers, right? කියන්නේ 1 2 3 4 etc. ඔන්න ඔහොමලු තියෙන්නේ. binary relation එකක්. n, m is a real number. ඊට පස්සේ කියනවා එයා real number එකක් කියලා. හරි. ඒ real number කිව්වේ කියලා නම් දන්නේ නැහැ මෙතන integers කියලා. If and only if n divides m. n m බෙදනවා නම් තමයි මේ relation මෙතන real number නෙමෙයි relation එක. R is a relation, right? Not real number. මේ relation එකේ ඉන්නේ n divides m නම්. ඒ කියන්නේ 2 divides 4, right? 3 divides 6. Okay? 3 divides 9. අන්න එහෙමයි විතරයි මෙතන ඉන්නේ. Which of the following statement is true? R is transitive and symmetric. Symmetric වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ නේද? Just for example 3 divide 6 කි පළියට 6 divide 3 වෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ. Yes 3 divide 6. 6 බෙදෙනවා 3 හැබැයි 3 බෙදෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ 6 භාගයක්. So therefore I will not go for symmetric. Symmetric තියෙනවා මම අයින් කරන්න. මම මේ ආයි ගන්න බලන්න උත්තරයක් වෙන විදිහකට. එතකොට symmetric කියලා තියෙනවා මම ගන්න නැහැ. මොකද එහෙම වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. 2 divide 3 doesn't mean 3 divide 6. Right? Sorry. 3 divide 6 doesn't mean 6 divide 3. So I will not take symmetric. Okay. But definitely reflexive, right? Because 5 divide 5, 2 divide 2, 6 divide 6. Hari, reflexive way hari. So I'm okay with reflexive. Right? This can't be equivalence because it is not symmetric. Therefore, I will not take this source. Okay. So then transitive දෙකත් බලමු. For example, 2 divide 6 and 6 divide 18. So therefore 2 divide 18 එකත් හරි වගේ නේද? හරි එකක් ගමු. 3 divides 15. 15 divides 45. Therefore 3 divide 45 එක හරි වගේ නේද? If 3 divide 15 and 15 divide 45, 3 divide 45. එක contradiction එකකට පේනවද? එක උදාහරණයක් හරි contradict වෙනවා. Say 7 divide 21 and 21 divide 42. So therefore 7 divide 4. ඒක නම් හරි වගේ. Transitive හරි වගේ. Antisymmetric වෙන්න ඕන. If 2 divides 5, 5 can't divide 2 because if 2 divide 5 because 2 is smaller than 5. Then obviously bigger number can't divide small number. So then it must be antisymmetric as well, right? ඒ පන්න නිකන් උත්තරයක් තියෙනවා වගේ මට. නම් ඊ කල්පනා කරලා උත්තරයක් ආවේ නැහැ. මම දන්න උත්තරය හරිද කියලා. එහෙම වුණොත් එහෙම none of the above වෙන්න බෑ. දැන් නම් මට හිතෙනවා D හරි කියලා. හරි. Let's see 29. Yes, D is correct. D is correct, right? හරි නේද? ලොජික් එක. මම ඊ කල්පනා කරා මම ඇත්තට ඊ බය වුණා මේ n, m තියෙනකොට ඇත්තටම හරි. අද බය නැතු මූණ දුන්න ප්‍රශ්නෙට. Right? I think that's correct, right? So just look at take some examples. මම ඇත්තට මේ වෙන වෙනම බලුවේ නැතුව මේ වෙන වෙනම බලනකොට ඒක හිතා ගන්න පුළුවන් නේද? ඒ කියන්නේ එකපාර ඔක්කොම කල්පනා කරන්න එපා. වෙන වෙනම කල්පනා කරන්න. මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා කරේ ඊ ඇත්තටම බැරි ඔක්කොම එකට කල්පනා කරන්න ගිහිල්ලා මේ බුදු අම්මෝ ඉන්ටිජර්ස් කම් ගොඩක් තියෙනවනේ කියලා එහෙම කල්පනා කරන්න කියලා ඔක්කොම මට එපා වෙලා අතහැරලා දාන්න. දැන් නම් පුළුවන්. හරි. Right. Answer is D. Right. So think about it, okay? Just take one by one. Right? One by one. Case by case. Right. 30. Let A 1, 2, 3 and B 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one of the following relations from A to B is not a function? Right? Remember, function is either 1 to 1 or many to 1. And also no orphan values in the domain side. මතකනේ function එකේ definition එක. Right? So this is super easy question. 1, 2, 3. එතකොට මේක පට්ට easy question එක. And here we have A to B යන්නේ 2, 3, 4, 5. එතන violate වෙච්ච එකම අයින් කරා. මෙතන මේ 1 to many ඒවා දිනනවා කොහොමත් වෙන්න බෑ. 1 to many ඒවා දිනනද? 1, 3, 1, 5. 1 to many is not a function. ඒවා එතකොට කෙලිම අතාරිමුකෝ. තව තියනවාද? වෙන නෑ නේ එහෙම ඒවා. නෑ. Right. 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 4. Yeah, that is a function. Remember, many to 1 is okay. You can have orphan values in the range side, but not the open side. Open side එක ඔක්කොම ඉන්නවා. 1, 2, 3 ඔක්කොම ඉන්නවා. ඇත්තට මෙයා function එක. මෙයාගේ 1, 2, 3 ඔක්කොම ඉන්නවා. 1, 2, 3 ඔක්කොම ඉන්නවා. 1, 2, 3 ඔක්කොම ඉන්නවා. මෙයා 1, 2, 2, 3 අපි ආයෙ වන්දිමුද? 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 5. Fine. Function. Next one. This is function. Okay. 1 to 4, 2 to 4. That is fine, right? Many to 1 is okay. 1 to many to have very. 3 to 4. That is fine. Function. මතකයිනේ 1 to many එකයි වෙන්න බෑ. Last one. 1 to 3. අන්තිම එකත් අවුලක් නැහැ. 2 to 4. 3 to 5. Yes. Right. Not a function අහන්නේ යා. Not a function. Therefore, answer must be D. 30D. And D. Is it clear? Right. That's the definition of function. Right. 31. In how many ways one can select two children out of three boys and three girls? That is very easy, right? ඒක පොඩි ළමයෙකුත් කියන්නේ. How many ways one can select two children out of three boys and three girls? ඉතින් මෙතන boys the girls කියන එක අපිට අදාළ නැහැ. It says two children. So that means from 6 children, altogether we have 6 children, right? 6 children. How many ways we can take two children? The boy girls එක අපි නිකන් බය කරන්න දෙයක්. Because here we just consider, we don't care whether we get two boys or two girls, or we don't care. So therefore, how many ways we can pick two from 6? Method of permutation and combination, because we arrange කරන්නේ. That is 6C2. We can assume that these are 6 distinct children. මිනිස්සු කියන distinct. So factorial 6 divided by factorial 2 divided by factorial 4. 6 minus 2. That is 6 into 5. Rest of the stuff cancel with this. 2. 5 into 3 is 15 ways. B. Right? 31 E correct. තේරුම් නැත්නම් කියන්න. boy girls ලා දාලා තියෙන අපි අන්දන්න. 32. Let f z to z. Z is set of all integers. Right? Z is set of all integers. Integers to integers, right? Integers to integers. Fn is n squared. So this is integers, this is integers. N squared, that means 1 to 1. 0 to 0. Okay. 2 to 4. Square, ne? Minus 1 also to 1. And minus 2 also to 4. Minus 2 යන්නත් ඕන 4ට. Which of the following statement is true? F is an injective. Injective in bad. For example, 2 is also to 4. Minus 2 is also to 4 because Z is integer. Integers can be negative. Right? So injective means 1 to 1. No, it's definitely many can go into one value, not 1 to 1. Right? Surjective, on to. On to. Again, මෙතන often නැහැ ඉන්න බෑ. Remember, this is integer to integer. But here we have only positive or 0. No negative values, because when you square value, whether positive or negative, it's all positive. But remember, the sets can be negative 1, minus 2 also, but there's nothing will map to this. So therefore, this is not onto. There are often values, unmapped values in the range side. So because it's neither injective nor surjective, it is not bijective, because for bijective, it must be both injective and surjective. But this is none of. It's neither injective nor surjective, yes. F has an inverse. Of course, any relation has an inverse. Okay. On a relation has inverse at the inverse. That is, the inverse will map 4 into 2 as well as minus 2. Of course, the inverse is not a function, because this is not a bijective, but F has an inverse. F has an inverse. මම දන්නේ නැහැ මෙතන අදහස් කරේ F ක inverse එක function එකක්ද කියලා. එහෙම වුණොත් වැරදි. හැබැයි මෙතන නිකම්ම inverse කියලා තියෙනවා මම කියනවා ඔව් කියලා. But remember, the inverse is not a function because this is not bijective. මට පොඩි සැකයක් තියෙනවා examiner මේක නොගෙනීදීද කියලා. හරි? හැබැයි මෙතන කියලා තියෙන ඉන්වර්ස් කියලා විතරයි. I'll go for EOS. දැක්කද? මෙතන F has inverse කියලා මම expect කරලා තියෙන F has a inverse as a function කියලා. හරි ඒකයි E අරන් නැත්තේ. හරි E අරන් නැත්තේ. මං හිතුවා එහෙම ගණිත කියලා සමහරවිට. හරි. මම දන්නේ නිකම්ම ඉන්වර්ස් කියව මොකද්ද තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ කියලා. මොකද ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකක ඉන්වර්ස් එක ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකක් නොවි දින පුළුවන්. අපි chat GPT දාමු ඉතින්. හරි ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණයට දැම්මා වගේ. Because f has inverse but it is not a function. ගොඩක් අය අපි ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකක් නෙවෙයි නම් අපි ඉන්වර්ස් එකක් නැහැ කියලා ගන්න කතන්දරයකුත් මම දැක්කපෝ යාර ඉතින් ඒකයි මට සැකයක් ආව එකපාරට. Right. Yeah, not injective, not onto, not bijective. Function has inverse only if it is bijective. මෙතන මේ අරන් තියෙන්නේ function එකක් bijective නැත්නම් අපිට කෙලින්ම කියන්න පුළුවන් ඒ කියන්නේ function එකට inverse එකක් නැහැ කියලා. Actually, the reality is its inverse is not a function. So therefore, if it is a function, uh, right, we can say that if it is not a bijective, in reality, of course, it has inverse but not a function, but they call it if it is not bijective, they say it doesn't have inverse. Right? So therefore, examiner's answer is correct. D කියලා තමයි ගන්න. හරි අපි ගහමු මෙයා පොඩ challenge කරමු. But F has a reverse mapping as relation. Why you say that F has no inverse? එයාගේ මේක ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකක් නෙමෙයි හන්දයි නෑ කියන්නේ කියලා. Right? The key is the difference between inverse relation and inverse function. Every function has inverse relation. හරි එයා කියන ඕන ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකකට inverse relation තියෙනවා තමයි මම කිව්වේ මතයි. හරි. ඒ කියන්නේ inverse relation එක කොහොමද තියෙනවා කියලා එයා පිළිගන්නවා. හරි. හැබැයි එයා කියන්නේ මෙතන but is the inverse relation a function? A function must assign මෙහෙම එයා මේ මෙහෙමයි කියන්නේ. හරි. යානේ මේ හැමෝම මෙහෙම තමයි කියන්නේ මට පේන්නේ. right? When a mathematician says a function has an inverse, they mean there exists an inverse function. එයා කියන මේ mathematicians ලා inverse එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ inverse function එකක් තියෙනවා නන්දු function වලට. හරි. So therefore I think that is how we should interpret it. Okay. එතකොට function ගැන කතා කරද්දී inverse එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ inverse එකක් function එකක් වුණොත් විතරයි. හරි. So just make a note of that. Maybe I can update the note also. හරි. මොකද මේ දැන්නේ chat GPT ලා හැම ඉන්නේ. right so ChatGPT කියනවා ඉන්වර්ස් එක ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකක් නෙවෙයි නම් අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් ඉන්වර්ස් එකක් නැහැ කියලා. හරි ෆන්ක්ෂන් වලදී. හැබැයි රිලේෂන් වලදී හරි. ඒත් පිළිගන්න මේක ඉන්වර්ස් එකක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි ඒක රිලේෂන් එක ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකක් නෙමෙයි හන්දලු ඉන්වර්ස් එකක් නැහැ කියන්නේ. හරි. So for function to have an inverse it must be bijective because otherwise it's not a function. Inverse is not a function. Okay. right so අපි ඉතුරු ටික ඊළඟ දවසේ කරමුද? තව ක්වෙස්චන් දෙකක්ද කොහෙද අතහැරලා තාවනේ. මේකත් අපි මේක try කරමු 33 කරන්න. අපිට අමාරු question එකක් තියෙනවා. 33 let A and B two sets with 3 and 4 දැන් හොඳට මේ අර එන්ජින් එක වැඩ කරන වෙලාවේ කල්පනා කරන්න ඕන. හරි හිතෙනවා සමහරවිට. let මම මේක ඊයේ කල් බලලා ඉවරලා අතහැරලා දැම්මා. ඒ කියන්නේ මම එච්චර වෙලාවට spend කරේ නෑ මේකට. let A and B be two sets with 3 and 4 elements respectively. Then the number of injective mappings ඒ කියන්නේ 3 and 4 ඉන්නවලු මේ පැත්තේ. say A B C KLMN 4. The number of injective mappings that can be defined from A to B. Injective ඒවා. ඔය එක නම් හිතා ගන්න අමාරුයි. For example, it can be AKBLCM. 1 to 1 ඒවානේ. මේකෙන් 1 to 1 ඒවා කීයක් හදන්න පුළුවන්? 3කින් 4කට මැප් වෙද්දී. ඉන්ජෙක්ටිව් විතරයි යා. ඉන්ජෙක්ටිව් විතරයි. ඒතකොට අපිට මෙහි එකක් අතාරින්න පුළුවන්ද? ඔගේ ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා දැන්. මේක අතෑරියොත් ෆන්ක්ෂන් නෙමෙයි. හැබැයි ඉන්ජෙක්ටිව් වගේ කතා කරන්නේ ෆන්ක්ෂන් වලට. ෆන්ක්ෂන් වලට. එහෙම වුණොත් පුළුවන් කොහමද? This is one possibility. මේ වගේ තව possibilities කීයක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්? A is to L, B කොච්චර තියෙනවද අප්පා? මට නම් පේන්නේ නැහැ මේක. හරි මේ අහන්නේ injective functions එතකොට මේක අතාරින්නත් බෑ. But then we can have A with L, maybe B with K, C with M කොච්චර තියෙනවද? මට නම් තේරෙන්නේ. මට නම් හිතා ගන්න බෑ මේ කොහොමද හොයන්නේ කියලා. හැබැයි ලොකු ගානකුත් නැහැ තියෙන්නේ නේද? 8යි 27යි. ChatGPT අහලා බලමුද? එහෙම question ටිකක් දානවා හරි නැත්නම් ඒ ප්ලස් වලට මෙයි නෑ හැමෝම. Answer is A 24 කියන්නේ. ChatGPT දාලා බලන්න. It looks an interesting question. දැන් පේනවා නේද ඕන පේපර් එකක් වට තනියෙන් කරන්න පුළුවන් හරි දැන් මම කරේ නැහැ කියලා බය වෙන්න එපා හරි ඔයාලට පුළුවන් දැන් ChatGPT එක ඉස්සරහට යන්න මම දැන් මේ prompt එකක් දාන්නේ නැහැ නිකන් මේක අප්ලෝඩ් කරනවා විතරයි හරි prompt engineering කරන්න දේවල් question එක තියෙනවානේ explanation එක තේරෙයිද කියන එක තමයි වැඩි so A has 3 elements B has 4 elements එයත් මම වගේම දැන් ගත්තා A1 A2 A3 B1 B2 B3 B4 since the function must be injective no two elements A can map to the same element ඒක හරි for A1 four choices A1 ට choices හතරක් තියෙනවා බලමු right because A1 can be mapped to either B1 okay A1 can be mapped to either B1 or B2 or B3 or B4 හරි choices හතරක් තියෙනවා තමයි ඒක හරි for A2 three remaining choices එතකොට දැන් A2 ට තියෙන තව මෙයාට හතරක් තියුණාට මෙයාට තියෙන choices තුනයි ඒකත් හරිනේ because now A1 is mapped to one of the value because it must be 1 to 1 A1 has four choices then A2 has only three choices because A1 is already mapped to one of the values right that is also fair and then A3 has only two choices හරිනේ choices දෙකයි යාට තියෙන්නේ දැන් මොකද කරලා තියෙන්නේ Aට හතර දිනක එක මැප් වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියන්නේ විදි හතරක් තියෙනවා දැන්. හරි. B ට තියෙනවා විදි තුනක්. C ට තියෙනවා A3 ට තියෙනවා විදි දෙකක්. So therefore 4 into 3 into 2 24. හරි. හරි. ඒ විදිහට ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. එයාගෙන permutation විදිහට ගන්නත් පුළුවන් ඕන නම් 4p3 කියලා. හතරකින් තුන් දෙනෙක්ව මැප් කරන්න පුළුවන් විදි කියලා. 4p3 මම හිතන්නේ ඊට වැඩිය මේක ලේසි කියලා නේද? So A1 we have four possibilities. A2 three possibilities. A3 two possibilities. ඇත්තට මේ වගේ question කරනකොට අර වැඩි කරනවා කියන එකේ තේරුම එන්නේ අර ಗುಣ කරනවා කියන එකේ. නැත්නම් අපිට ಗುಣ කරනවා කියන එක එච්චර තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ නේද? ඇඟට. මොකද මේ පස්වරක් දෙක කියන්නේ කියලා. හරි. මේක මෙහෙම වෙද්දි මෙයාට විදි තුනක් තියෙනවා. මෙයාට විදි දෙකක් තියෙනවා. I think it makes sense right? මට හිතන්නේ ඒක පොඩි logic එකක් තියෙන පොඩි නෙමෙයි ඒක logical නැත්තම්. හරි. වෙන හිතන්න බෑ මටත්. Right. I think the answer is correct. 24. Not correct, definitely correct. Okay. 24. Yes, answer is anyway. අපි එයාගේ ආවේ කියන්නේ 33A. Right, 34 onwards. Let's do in the next class. Okay. 34 වලින් ඉස්සරහා question ටික අපි ඊළඟ class එකේ කරනවා. තව අර skip කරන් ගිය question දෙකක් දුක තියෙනවා. ඒ ටිකක් කරලා ඒතර අනිත් පේපර් එක පටන් ගන්නවා ඊළඟ ක්ලාස් එකේ හරි. අපි පේපර් තුනක් කරන්නේ. If you have any other question that you want me to discuss, first put that question into ChatGPT. Maybe the ChatGPT's explanation is good enough for you, but still, if you don't understand, just send me the exam year number and the question number, okay? But when we are going to do three papers, now we are in the almost end of the second paper. Okay, right. So මම ඔයගලන්ට දැම්මා මේ MongoDB note එකක් හදලා ඒක lab sheet එකයි ඒක අනිවාර්යෙන් තනියෙන් කරන්න. හරි. මම පුළුවන් වුණොත් හෙට දාන්නම් ඕකටම තව වෙලා තියුණොත් ඕකටම දාන්නම් Node.js. Hari. Tomorrow you don't have extra session, but day after tomorrow you have. That is no extra session